Hi, everybody. Take a break from the horrors of what's happening in our schools. But as odd as it sounds, I actually believe in intersectionality. I don't think I've ever put it quite that way. But when you think about it, so I'm now going to talk about peace in the Middle East. Very important new book just published this past week. And I have the author on. When you think about it, if you know that somebody who wants to rob children of their sexual innocence and teach them that there's no such thing as male and female, I'll bet you a lot of falafel that you could predict their position on the Middle East. Now, why would that be? Why would people who want to rob children of sexual innocence hate Israel? Why are they always connected? Because all of this is connected. On that great quote from Faust, the devil says, I want to destroy everything that exists. The author has built something remarkable, and he is Aryeh Lightstone. The book, Let My People Know, play on Let My People Go, of course, the incredible story of Middle East peace and what lies ahead. Brief, easily read, but very important. Let My People Know. He was the principal aide to David Friedman, the ambassador to Israel, during the great Trump years. And they were great years if you don't want to destroy everything that exists. So, Aryeh Lightstone, welcome to the Dennis Prager Show.
The last time we sat together was inside the United States Embassy.
That's right. That's right.
It's nice to see you again.
Yeah, well, you're visiting Jerusalem right now, though. You're where were you based in the United States? Washington?
No, originally from Colorado, and my family and I moved from Long Island. That's where I knew David Friedman from. We were basically neighbors, and when he brought us away.
And where do you live now?
And live now, we split our time in between Israel, where we were for 4 years officially, and now we're there unofficially, and Pennsylvania.
Very nice. And right now you are there in Jerusalem. I have to ask my engineer a question. Why are our international calls the clearest? And if I interview someone in L.A., it sounds like they're an astronaut. This is forgive me, Aryeh Lightstone. I just had to get that off my chest.
Understood.
Thank you. You are truly one of the architects of this extraordinary thing called the Abraham Accords. Not everybody is familiar with them. In a nutshell, what are they?
So, first of all, thank you. I'd like to call myself an architect. It's actually not true. I was a builder. The architect was Jared Kushner, Donald Trump, David Friedman, Avi Berkowitz. I had the privilege of putting them to work once they were built with our team.
Very good.
What are they? Was some of the most exciting 123 days in U.S. foreign policy history. It began on August 13th, 2020 at 10 a.m. Washington, D.C. time with a phone call in between President Trump, Prime Minister Netanyahu, the Prime Minister of Israel, and Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed, the Crown Prince of the United Arab Emirates, now the President of the UAE. And on that phone call, if you remember the dark days of August 2020, Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed said on the phone call, we are not going to allow the past to determine our future. And that phone call set in motion what ultimately would be peace and normalization in between Israel, the United Arab Emirates, the Kingdom of Bahrain, Sudan, Kosovo, and concluding with the Kingdom of Morocco. 5 significant peace and normalization agreements in 123 days. In the midst of COVID, a re-election, a lost election, all of those things happening simply because the United States of America acted like the one true superpower and treated our allies like our allies and our enemies like our enemies. The recipe was actually not that complicated.
You're good. You are. I don't always say that. That was exactly why peace came. I know you know, but I want to say this for my listeners' benefit, that the grace after meals said regularly among observant Jews, ends with this prayer: May God give his people strength and bless his people with peace.
Amen.
You don't have peace if you aren't strong. It's a basic concept of life and a prayer. The book is Let My People Know. I'll be back in a moment with Aryeh Lightstone. It is an amazing development. All of these Arab countries, Muslim countries, making peace with Israel. Never would have happened with a Democrat in office. Never. Not now, anyway. Hi, everybody. Dennis Prager here. I met with this gentleman once in Jerusalem when our country moved the embassy. Actually, when Donald Trump, on behalf of our country, moved the American embassy from Tel Aviv, which is not the capital of Israel, to the capital of Israel. And I remember vividly the warnings of the State Department, which essentially is always wrong, and the New York Times, which is essentially always wrong, that there would be a blow-up in the Middle East and in the Muslim world, the likes of which we have never seen, or not seen almost ever. Nothing happened. Is that a fair way of describing it? Aryeh Lightstone was the top assistant to our ambassador, and he helped coordinate these phenomenal things called the Abraham Accords of all these Arab countries now recognizing, and Muslim countries, Kosovo's not Arab, for example, recognizing Israel. Is that a fair summary of what took place?
Yeah, experts get to be experts, even if the only thing that they're consistently good at is being incorrect. And this is from 1995, Congress, by a wide bipartisan majority, passed the Jerusalem Embassy Act, which required by law that the U.S. president would recognize Jerusalem as the capital of Israel, move the embassy, the United States Embassy, to Jerusalem, and then open up the ambassador's home in Jerusalem, the capital of Israel. And every major candidate who ran promised to do so. Every candidate who won promised to do so. Some even on their second time around. And both Republicans and Democrats failed to follow the law. President Trump, on December 6, 2017, recognized Jerusalem as the capital of Israel. On May 14, 2018, at 4:11 p.m., officially opened our embassy in Jerusalem. And later on in 2019, opened up the ambassador's home in Jerusalem, fulfilling the law that was passed in 1995. President Obama, who was in Jerusalem just down the block from where I'm sitting right now, exactly a week ago, went to East Jerusalem, removed the Israeli flag from the Beast, which is the car that the President of the United States of America drives in, and committed to give money to the Palestinians while sitting in the united and undivided capital of Israel, Jerusalem, which is the exact opposite. You pointed out so clearly, peace only comes through strength. The other thing in the Middle East that's as critical as strength is clarity. And chaos comes from confusion. And once again, we are back to, instead of back to the future, we're back to the past, leading with confusion instead of clarity.
I didn't know that about President Obama, what he just did. This is a week ago?
President Biden, when he came to Israel and then to Saudi, he went to East Jerusalem unaccompanied by...
it was President Biden. I thought you said Obama for some reason.
I may have said that. I might be a little jet-lagged. It was definitely President Biden.
Oh, my God. By the way, I just want to note about the strength and peace issue. I asked, I'm sure you're familiar, one of the greatest living historians is Neil Ferguson, formerly of Harvard, now at the Hoover Institution at Stanford. And I asked him on my show, and it's one of the rare times I asked a question and I had no idea what the person would answer. Usually I have an idea. I said, do you think that Putin would have invaded Ukraine if Donald Trump were president? And I don't think that there was a second hesitation, and he said no. This weak president, he's very strong against Americans, but he's very weak against evil, has enabled that. The book is Let My People Know. We are his people, as it is Aryeh Lightstone's people. The incredible story of Middle East peace and what lies ahead. So I have a question, and here, perfect example. I don't know what you'll say, because I have no idea what the answer is. So explain for a moment the Gulf states. We have Abu Dhabi, we have Qatar, we have United Arab Emirates. What else?
So you have
Bahrain,
Qatar, Bahrain, Oman, Saudi. That's sort of the group there that represents the GCC, the Gulf states. Oman is not always included in that, and then you have Yemen as well. But really what you have is you've got an alliance of Sunni countries that want to stand with the United States of America. They also want us to stand against their foe, Iran, who is also our foe. And these countries are critical strategic partners of ours. Some of them are allies of ours. And if you look at the Middle East today versus 25 years ago, or today versus 5 years ago, it's not your Hollywood Middle East. The goal in the United Arab Emirates, which has 7 emirates, amongst them Abu Dhabi and Dubai are the 2 most famous ones, they just celebrated the Expo, which had people from every country in the world have an opportunity to come in peace and harmony. Abu Dhabi and Dubai are 2 of the top 3 or 4 safest cities in the world, something United States of America leadership could learn a little bit something about these days. Bahrain is an open country for religious and women and advancement and modernity. And these countries are trying to get closer to the United States of America. And one of the ways they were able to do that was by getting closer to the State of Israel, which is supposed to be, and under some administrations, is treated as our number 1 ally in the region.
So we don't have much time. Tell me, I'm very curious, why is Qatar an outlier?
So that probably will get, if you ask 10 people who are experts in the region, they'll probably give you 10 different answers.
Okay.
But Qatar and Saudi and UAE were at odds with each other for the vast majority of the Trump administration, before the Trump administration, and frankly, a little bit after the Trump administration. And one of the issues that I think needed to be resolved first was where they fall within the GCC before you can figure out where they fall with Israel. And one of the accomplishments that nobody will ever talk about was Jared Kushner and Avi Berkowitz brokered the GCC reconciliation, which was to bring Qatar back into the GCC.
Terrific. All right, folks, the book is up at DennisPrager.com. Let my people know. Dennis Prager here. Thanks for listening to the Daily Dennis Prager Podcast. To hear the entire 3 hours